Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Comic Corner, Classics, Non-Classics. This is episode number 1131 and double shot number 1025. I have one Marvel trade, one DC trade. First, back to 1970s or in 80s, we have Miss Marvel Epic Collection Volume 2, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. This book collects issues 1523 of Miss Marvel Volume 1, Marvel Team Up, issues 76-77, Marvel 2-151, Marvel Superheroes 10-11. This is actually issue 24. The Controversial 200. And number 10 of Avengers. And Marvel Fanfare number 24. Yep. Now, the thing with these... Now, you're probably wondering, wait. That's not the costume she wore in the last cover. That one. Yeah. This... Now, you're probably thinking, yeah. That's the familiar costume we're familiar with. Well, mainly because of Volume 2. And apparently, the artist she's now, if you notice, like in present day, she's actually got a lot more muscle on her. She's still muscular, but not like big and bulky like she was in present day. And the reason why that she decided to switch this outfit, this outfit actually makes its debut in issue 20. Yes, prior to the end of the ongoing series, which I'll get to in a minute why it ended. Now, this book had a debut of Rogue in number 10, and this book also contains the first appearance of Mystique, though she doesn't really meet up with Miss Marvel yet. But yeah, Miss Marvel is the book that had first appearance Mystique. And this just by sheer coincidence that she never encountered Mystique ever again, like after Avengers number 10, not until toward the end of the second volume of her ongoing series in 2010. Yep. And she is basically just teams with the Avengers. She also loses her original costume and switches to a different outfit for like one issue before switching to this brand new costume. This costume is also referred to as her Warbird costume. The only thing she kept from the previous costume is her scarf. Yeah, she put it from her neck to her waist, which actually it's still on her waist this very day. Yeah, it's still there. Though her mask herself pretty much is mostly the same, except all they changed was basically her attire. Also, in case you're looking at this, you're probably like, what the heck happened to her hair? It's mostly, from what I can tell, the style she kind of has present day when she's basically Miss Marvel. Yeah, she's basically stopped using the Farrah Fawcett look and went with a different hairstyle. And this is to be her definitive hairstyle, mostly when she's not in her binary form, up until like 2006. Yep. And yes, she fights this creature. She also fights Grotesque in here. Yes, Grotesque, who makes his first appearance since Uncanny X-Men number 42. From the first line for the series, not some other volume. Yeah, I don't know why they had Miss Marvel fight him. Yeah, he became sort of a recurring villain in this run, which I thought that was kind of weird. Why would you bring in a minor villain like him? And here's kind of the strange thing. With the exception of Deathbird, and it was just Deathbird, Mystique, who became X-Men characters, she never had, like, if you read this run, she never had her own original villain who basically... The only character you can kind of think of as her own regular recurring villain is Grotesque. Even though he started as an X-Men villain. Yeah. But then the series ended at 23, because at the end of the last issue it said, oh yeah, she's going to fight Sabretooth next. That didn't happen at that point. The issue was made, but it wasn't published until the 1990s. As part of a... Basically, it's split up into 2 issues of Marvel Superheroes. Yeah, where she did get a chance to fight Mystique, and to get a chance to show up the cover of issue 24. Yeah. Now here's the strange thing. Right after the end of... Now here's the cover for issue 24. The cover of a comic book that was, at the time, never published. Yeah, and it was written by Chris Claremont. Yep. And, yeah. It's like, right after the end of her comic book, she just basically popped up. She also popped up in a couple issues of Marvel Team, which basically her appearance made a little more sense than her appearance in, let's say, Defenders, which feel like a pure guest star issue. Yep. And right after the whole series ended, and of course you have the Marvel 2-in-1 and the 24. Then we come to the controversial issue 200, an issue which everybody who read it hated it. I do agree that the book has got fantastic artwork. And here's the thing. I've heard that Jim Shooter himself has since apologized for this awful issue. It was the issue which revealed that Miss Marvel was raped. Yes, Miss Marvel was raped. Oh, and before I get to that, here's a strange thing. During the course of our ongoing series, Miss Marvel got a boyfriend, Frank Grattelli, who never reappears ever again. Nope, as soon as her comic ended, like any new cool supporting characters she basically was introduced during her run, yeah, toward the end of the book, she was relieved of position as the editor of the Woman magazine. And her character, and what happened to her staff? Nothing. They disappeared from Marvel comic books. They are never brought up again. They never pop up in any other book that Miss Marvel, that Carol Danvers has been in. Not even the current book has referenced them at all. It's kind of like Conway really wanted to write these characters off, mainly because he had no plans. So that's just my personal guess, anyways. Now you're probably thinking, why did the book end issue 23? And even though they had already 24 ready to go, but the book got canceled. Why was it canceled? Low sales. Yep, low sales was the reason for the cancellation of this book. Yep, that was purely the reason for that. Yeah, now on to 200, which then Carr himself is on a full review of it. My opinion about this issue, good artwork, terrible story. Yep, out of all the big Triple H issues that Avengers has had, 100 issue was really good, 200 is bad, 300 is actually really good, so it's 400. 500 is bad, but not as bad as 200. I would say that of the 6, well, technically, Avengers never celebrated 600 issue, but there's a issue considered 600 issue. But of the big 5, here's basically how I'd rank them. I would rank number 200 at the dead bottom at number 5. Rank that as the worst. What I think is the best one? I would probably say it is probably Avengers 100 is the best one. Yep, 100 is the best one. I would say number 2 is 300. Number 3 is 400. And I would rank 500 higher than 200 because 500 is not as bad as 200 is. Even though that was the start of a storyline that's very controversial. The Avengers Disassemble storyline. And what about Annie number 10? Which is kind of, in a way, kind of the wrap-up of the character Miss Marvel. Well, that kind of trying to feel the repercussions of how everybody else felt. Yeah. The fact that, well, Miss Marvel rightfully lashes out against the Avengers for their actions in 200. What I call jovial, instead of basically acting horrified at the fact their teammate was raped by Marcus. What happened to Marcus? He died. Yeah, Chris Claremont probably didn't like this very much, so he pretty much had Marcus killed off. Yep, and 24 is kind of the epilogue for what is Avengers number 10. It just basically her first appearance since then. It came out roughly 5 years after Avengers number 10. Now here's the thing of Marvel fanfare. Peter Giles explained this to me very well. Marvel fanfare is made up of material that was lying in Marvel Comics basically in the other's drawers for years, and they just basically put this issue out there. Yeah, the issues were basically just unpublished stories that Marvel writers and artists had lying around over the years, and they just put into a comic book. Lasted 50 issues. And 24 is kind of like basically a conclusion to the whole thing with Miss Marvel, and her starting her time as Binary. Yep, Binary. Now, in case you're wondering what happened to her, like, during this period of time, like, right after Avengers number 10, well, she became a member of the X-Men, and she got her, of course, her Binary powers, and she became an integral part of the X-Men titles for about 20 years, up until Kurt Busiek took over the Avengers and had become Miss Marvel. Well, basically had her get rid of the Binary powers. Yeah. But what happened to Avengers number 10? Like, she was attacked by Rogue. Yeah, Rogue made her first appearance in the comic books, and she basically put her in a coma for a brief period of time, though she got out of it. Though this particular ending was actually loosely adapted for an episode of the X-Men animated series. Except that in the show, Carol Danvers is still in a coma. In the book, she actually got out of the coma after being coma very briefly. And of course, Rogue inherited some of her powers of super strength and flight. And as far as I can tell, Rogue still has those powers this very day, though Carol has since gotten back her powers of strength and flight. Yep. And well, that's pretty much it. I mean, final thoughts this run, pure classic. I do recommend it to people who are fans of Carol Danvers. This is a good starting point for them. I give that book a 10 out of 10. Well, actually, I give it a 9 out of 10 because it actually has the controversial 200 issue. But all the rest of the issues in here are pretty good. Yep, moving on to something exciting. Well, somewhat exciting, especially got good writing. It's like the artwork of this book. Basically, was set down from the previous book. We have Star Trek: The Next Generation, called Through the Mirror. Which, yes, this is the book where the Prime Universe Next Generation crew meet their Mirror Universe counterparts. That's the premise of this miniseries. The series starts off quite interestingly with Worf arriving on the planet Delta 4, which was actually they previously visited the year prior, and there's an editor's note here. They visit here in that Star Trek Next Generation / Doctor Who crossover. Yeah, but they don't mention the Cybermen. Nope, there's no mention of the Cybermen. Yeah, there's actually a good reason for that. And that's because IDW does not have the publication, they don't have the license for Doctor Who anymore. So they can still mention the story happened because the Tiptons wrote it, but don't mention the Cybermen. Yeah, because this book has nothing to do with Cybermen at all. And Warford just basically doing inspections of the place, and he sees a technician from the Enterprise who's got a beard. They're like, wait, that doesn't look right. See the guy later, he's clean shaven. Yep, this is from the Mirror Universe. And mostly put this one, it's kind of like the Universe Next Generation crew are just basically taking a back seat to the events. You see mostly the stuff from the Prime Universe Next Generation crew perspective. And there is a brief encounter between the two crews, and there is no fight between like two Picards. In case you want to cover, they do confront each other, but there's no fist fight. Excuse me, yeah. But at one point, they had Reginald Barclay, who's actually a lot more intelligent in the Mirror Universe, tries in a simulation to kill Picard, but Inquisitor's like, no, don't do that. And they basically are there just to raid for supplies. And there is a backup story that does explain how they were able to go to the Mirror Universe. Now, they do mention that the events of Mirror Mirror, the original series episode, that's still canon here. But apparently Emperor Spock is still alive. Yeah, this is a nod to the books where he actually was still alive in the Mirrorverse books, basically because the Mirrorverse books basically fall from Deep Space Nine, where in the case of Spock, because no one liked his reforms, they basically purged his forms from history, and Spock is somehow still alive, and he meets Data for the first time, well, Mirrorverse Data, and it ends basically with like getting info out of him, and then supposedly him killing him along with basically some, let's just say, the Trellians. Yeah. And it's mostly just the backup features to set up the main book, which took place several days before the events of this miniseries. It's a pretty good miniseries. My only slight problem with it is the step down from artwork. The backup feature actually retains the artwork I love from the original miniseries. Yeah. Where it's called Right for Plunder. That's the name of the multi-parter. Yep, and it takes up these 5 issues. Yeah, 5-issue miniseries. Yeah, unlike with Broken Mirror, which had a free comic day issue, this has simply put the follow-up to it. But I would have thought, though, it's a bit too soon for him to do this. Why not, I don't know, do a couple more Avengers and then do this, but nope. My guess is IDW really wanted them to do this, so they decided to do it anyways. But it's a really good miniseries. Though the artwork is, I'm not really a big fan of the artwork in here. Which I believe this is done by let's see. It's okay artwork, but I like the Mirror Universe artwork better. It's on Marcus 2. Yeah, I had no problem with Marcus 2's artwork. It's just that it's a bit stepped down from the first miniseries. But it's done by the Tiptons. Same writers, different artwork for the main story. But it's just a decent follow-up of what it is. It's not terrible, but it's a bit disappointing because, well, we don't see the Universe next race group very much. And the you have great competition. And also the thing ends setting up the very next miniseries, Terra Incognito, which had, at the end of the miniseries, the Mirror Universe Reg Barkley knocked out Prime Universe Reg Barkley, tied up in his quarters, and mostly put that was basically upset with the very next miniseries, Terra Incognito. The whole thing of this miniseries, in my opinion, now, the backup feature is really, really good. I love the backup feature. The best thing about the book. The main story is decent for what it is, but I give this book roughly a 9 out of 10 because mainly it's a slight step down from the first and awesome miniseries that was Broken Mirror. Okay? Yeah, so that's it for this particular review. Now, I'm not going to do my next review just yet because I want to get the 2 videos up first. And basically, I'll do that afterward. I'll do my next 2 videos be on our Comic Corner and a review for the newest chapter for Case Closed. Yep, and after those 2 videos, the next video I'm going to do review of One Piece. Yep, they have a new episode released today. And well, I'll give my thoughts on it later, okay? To this next video. Bye.